Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brad. This is the Firefighter's Financial Toolbox. I made a few programs on dividend ETFs as an option for people who want to get into dividend investing but don't want to go through the headache of picking individual stocks. So I've made a couple videos now, and I got a comment the other day from Firefighter 59, and he says, well, you made a video on Vanguard and Charles Schwab's versions. Are you going to do one on Fidelity now? So today we're going to talk about Fidelity's high dividend ETF. That's ticker symbol FDVV. Now looking at the stats here, currently it's trading for about $26. This is Fidelity's version of their dividend ETF. It tracks the Fidelity High Dividend Index. Now one thing that sticks out to me, this is a global dividend ETF. Whereas the ones that we've done on through the other providers were primarily based in the United States. First thing that jumps out at me on this one, you guys, is a net expense ratio of 0.29%, so 29 basis points. So a little bit more expensive than the other ones that we've talked about from Vanguard and from Charles Schwab. Now, certainly not grossly expensive compared to some of the other ones out there, but a little bit more expensive. You're looking at about $29 for $10,000 per year. So let's take a look a little bit at the breakdown. Now, first thing that shows up is we see that only about 86.5% of the investments are in the United States. About 7.5% are in Europe, and about 4% are in Asia. Now that exposes us to one thing that the other ones didn't, you guys, and that is currency exposure. As you can see that only 86.6% of the fund is in US dollars. You have about almost 7% in the British pound, about 2.5% in the Japanese yen, and about 1% in the Australian dollar. So one thing that I see that also this has is it has a fairly large component of REITs, about 9%, you guys. Now we all know that when you have REITs, those are non-qualified dividends. And one of the things, if we take a look at the Fidelity qualified dividend summary, we see that this fund only gets 71.22% of its dividends qualified. Now, you know, if it's a qualified dividend, for the majority of people out there, they're only going to pay 15%. Now, if you're in the top two tax brackets, it's 20%, but still better than your ordinary income. And as we know, REITs and some other ordinary non-qualified dividends are taxed at ordinary income levels. So this is going to have some of those involved in it. So may play into, if you decide to use this fund, whether or not you keep it in a taxable fund. All right, looking at some of the country exposure, we see, as I said, about 86.6% in the United States, a little over 6.5% in the UK, a little over 2% in Japan, 1% in Australia, a little less than 1% in Ireland, a little more than 0.5% in Hong Kong, and a tiny bit in France. And we see the majority of this is in large cap value stocks, you guys. Large cap making up about 77% of this fund. Mid cap at about 12% and small cap at about 7%. And then micro and other make up about 2%. The majority of this fund is in information technology, of course, about 21%. About 16% in consumer staples, and another 16% in financials. Then materials, real estate, energy, and healthcare making up the next bulk at about each around 9%. So you guys, is this a good fund to invest in? Well, if you have Fidelity as your provider, it's a simple fund to use. Remembering that it is not all based in US companies, it is based globally. Now, it does have the majority of the companies in the United States, but you do have fair exposure to international, which carries with it currency risk. And as I said, you only get about 71% of your dividends qualified. So I like having all of my dividends qualified because I like paying less taxes. Now, that doesn't necessarily make it a bad fund, but it might be one that if I wanted to keep all those dividends, maybe I'd put this fund in my Roth so that I can take advantage of the tax-free growth of those dividends. All right, you guys. Anyway, really quick down and dirty about Fidelity's version of their dividend ETF. Hope you guys got something out of this. If you did, drop me a like. It really helps the channel. If you're not already subscribed, you guys, hit that button, ring the bell. You get notified every time I make a video. All right, we'll see you.